Hey guys, welcome back to BJ and Game Day, covering another episode of NRL Supercoach for 2018. Brent Hampton with you and Josh King. Just going to run through a few things tonight. We're going to start off with how we went last week, and it is nothing to brag about. We went terrible. Mate, give us a recap.
828 this week for me. I didn't think it would get too much worse after the past couple of weeks, but it has. Rankings blown out to around 5,000, which again isn't that bad, but I haven't cracked 1,000 now 3 weeks in a row. I don't think that's unheard of for me. Dropped back in the BJ and Game Day league, so I'm going to start putting some pennies away now. I'd like to think it'd only get better after an 828.
Yeah.
You?
Mate, 968, not too much better obviously, but couldn't crack the ton. I've snuck back into the top 10,000, but yeah, we've sort of having a few rough weeks, which is pretty average. But Cam Coxwell's hit the front in the BJ and Game Day league. Well done to Cam. I think he just got over the 1,000 last week, so he's well and truly on top of us. And Braden with Team Hope, he's running to second. So at the moment we're $40 down for the BJ and Game Day league for the season. So settle down, boys. We don't want to lose too much more money. Yeah, we'll see how we go. Bit of a rough week with injuries, mate. A few across the park, a few key Supercoach players. No major superstars, but blokes like Josh Dugan, Dylan Edwards. Edwards is probably the biggest one for gone for the season.
And is it the Goss?
The Goss has had a broken hand or something, so he's out for 4 to 6.
4 weeks, but yeah, I mean the last couple of weeks have been uncanny in terms of injuries. You got guys like Nathan Brown still out.
What do we say about Brown? Obviously, when it first happened, they were talking a week. I think it's been 3, and now they're talking another 3. So obviously, he can't get it right. I see him in a lot of footage around the place. He looks like he's going okay, but yeah.
Well, that's the funny thing. I mean, every injury that seemed bad this year, that they've said long term, and even someone like Richie Kenner, they've said, it's going to be weeks. Andrew Fafita was back the next week.
Yeah.
Andrew McCulloch could potentially be back this week after it was meant to be. So I'm pretty much going, if they say it's going to be short term, it's going to be long term. And if they say it's going to be long term, they'll be back next week. I can't pick it. With Brown, I don't honestly think it's going to be round 12, and I don't know what to believe now.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold him because I imagine I'm going to have him for the run home anyway. So
I mean, that's the hardest part. A few weeks ago I was talking about getting him in, but you've had him in that whole time. If you know they're going to be out for 6 weeks, it's sort of a sell straight away. You can get out of them, but this hope that they're going to come back week after week, and we're just sort of getting shut down on Teamless Tuesday. And
it's compounded if you've got a Burgess and had Harris, and if you had SJ. If you had known that, that's an extra reason, because you can't afford to have millions of dollars sitting on the pine. But the beauty of Supercoach, mate, I know there's a lot of people selling, I can't blame them, but far out.
What do? You got to hold. Croker's another one. Lachlan Croker obviously went down with a ruptured ACL for Manly on the weekend. That'll finish his season up. Plenty of people had him. So he's obviously a sell for this week. Yeah,
I think the good thing about it is you don't have to worry about him dropping any cash, so he's not an immediate sell. There's no rookies that you really need to get in straight away. So I guess the way you can look at it is he's a 275k deposit for someone. He's a chunk of cash that you're not going to lose him. So if you've got a bit of cash in the bank, you can upgrade to someone, but it doesn't have to be now. You can move him around, which is also useful. So don't really need to sell him right now unless you go into a genuine sort of gun, I reckon. But at least he's not going to plummet any cash anymore.
Now, obviously, with the injuries we talk about, going to force people into trades and things like that. Richie Kennar's obviously out in the centre wing. He's one for mine that's going to go this week. What trades you got on the list, mate?
Yeah, I think just because I had relied on Richie Kennar as a starting player in my centre wings, I'm going to have to trade him. I'm not sure if I want to. It could be, they're saying it could be a couple of weeks, or they're saying it could be the season. So still waiting on some results. So not sure what's going on there. I think just because of the score he's got in that last game, he's probably going to take a bit of a hit on his price anyway.
Yep.
So I'm going to cash in on Kennar this week. Looking at Mahe Fanua, I guess a couple of reasons. He's probably the better, cheaper option at the moment that actually has a bit of potential. He looked real hungry on the weekend, and I'm a big fan of Mahe Fanua. I mean, always remembered him from when he used to play in the NRL.
Yep.
But on the weekend he was looking for the ball. He was busting tackles, offloading, got that try assist where he sort of made it himself. So the concern there is the security. Tigers have got that so many options in that back line, but I think the way he's played, you couldn't take the spot off him. But I could be wrong. I mean, like I said, Lola Here's not there. You've got Thompson that can play on the wing. You got MWZ, so it's a little bit of a punt. I mean, he could maybe not play. MWZ's been named on the extended, so it's a little bit of a punt. But I think it's
worth it. Yeah, it's worth it. Look, it's the hard thing about the West Tigers is at the start of the season they were favourite for the wooden spoon. They came out and they've been playing brilliantly. Ivan Cleary probably took a surprise approach from the start of the season when Nofaluma wasn't named. I watched a few games of Nofaluma and Mahe Whanua in New South Wales Cup, and they were brilliant. Obviously, it's just that step low. It's a little bit slower, but they still look great. Busting tackles everywhere, scoring 1 or 2 tries each week. They've forced their way back into the squad. Obviously, you talked about Lola Hare still to come back. Does he go back to fullback? Does he even make the squad now? So, yeah, Mahe's a little bit of a risk, but I think he's one worth taking.
And I think as well, MWZ, Malachi was there before Mahe got there, and maybe Cleary's gone, look, just out of respect for him or something like that, he's given him that spot to start out with.
Yep.
And he hasn't maybe done enough, and now he's gone, all right, well, it's Mahe's turn.
He looks like a beast, Mahe.
Oh, and he is a handful. And I remember watching him in the UK, it was the same thing. It was like he was in the highlights reel every game that he played. I mean, I know the UK Super League's a bit of a different standard as well, but I mean, just watching him at times last year was exciting. So, and obviously banking some coin on that trade as well, which obviously makes it a big plus coming as we start to head towards these buys, and you want to have a bit of cash under your sleeves.
Definitely. Yeah, Ken is one I'm going to get rid of, and looking at the same Mahe Whanua. As much for the cash grab as anything else, and that's going to allow me to drop Jazz Tavanga from hooker, who's out this week for the Warriors. Had a few nice price raises. I think he's jumped about 140 grand in the last 3 weeks. I'm going to upgrade him to Cameron Smith. I think Smith, obviously, now that he's got the kicking duties back, Melbourne are starting to look good. I can see some plenty of big scores on the horizon. Obviously, Origin's a little bit of a worry, but at the same stage, you know, if I get Cameron Smith in now, he just stays there till the end of the season.
Oh, absolutely, mate, and I think he's a good price. Now he's got a couple of more reliable scores there. I think it's a good trade. Yeah. So
now, speaking of Cameron Smith, what we want to do tonight, guys, we're going to go to the gun range. We're going to shoot or save a few of these guns. We're going to grade them from the start of the season. Obviously, these are the guys you would have been relying on from the start of the season to get you a few scores. Some have lived up to that, and some have crashed and burned. So let's start with Cameron Smith. Mate, first 8 weeks of the year, what grade do you give Cameron Smith?
Oh, I guess I'm probably leaning around to sort of a B+.
Yep.
He hasn't produced the consistency that we're all used to, but he has still been pretty good. He's had a couple of sort of out there scored like low scores that we wouldn't expect, but all in all, he's still been pretty good. I mean, his price was a lot as well, so I can't be too harsh. He's actually not been that bad.
Yeah.
And as Melbourne have started to click, he's produced those points the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to give him around a B+.
Okay.
Yeah.
Average of 58, obviously, so far in the season, which is a little bit down on what we would have expected. But I think we saw that waiting for Melbourne to gel. You know, if you asked me 4 weeks ago, I'd be saying a D. But he looks like he's come back well. He's definitely running that team around the park. I'd have him at about a C+ at the moment.
Yep.
Next one, Jason Tamalolo.
Last 8 weeks, if you had asked this 2 weeks ago, I would have said a D.
Yeah.
He produced the ton basically a couple of weeks ago now, 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and he hasn't really looked back since then so far. Not sure what's changed there. I'd probably have him at like a C+, B- at this point. He's still, I know he's in a lot of people's teams and a lot of people are jumping on him. But just because of the way he started, I don't know, maybe it was a fitness thing. Maybe it took him a few weeks to get
I
fit.
think we're seeing that with a lot of these big guys.
Maybe now he's starting to click and he's looking a bit better the last 3 weeks. The last 3 weeks he's A easy. But what about you? What do you reckon?
Mate, look, same thing. Obviously started the season out pretty slow. Very similar to Cam Smith, but he's really boomed the last few weeks. So I'm going to give him a C+, but he's rising in the ranks, definitely. Mate, let's go to the Turbo Brothers. Start with Tommy. At fullback?
Yeah,
how's he been?
I think he's still A+, in my opinion.
You reckon?
Mate, I mean, have a look at his scores. I think a bad week he scored high 40s. He had the big 150 in there. He's scoring 60 in a team that's doing nothing. Like, he scored 60 on the weekend and Manly were putrid. He scored 60-something last week. They were putrid again.
Yeah.
I think he came at a...
I've probably been a bit harsh just because of how Manly are going.
But yeah, no, apart from that, he is the shining light in that Manly side, I think. I mean, Marty's power produced last week, but I think I can't be harsh on Turbo, to be honest. He's the only one that's really...
Yeah. Gerbo? What about Gerbo?
Oh, that's another hard one, I guess. It's just been these late indiscretions in the last few weeks. He's frustrated out there. They're losing footy games, and his mouth's got sort of caught him out. I think has he been binned twice? I think
honestly
he was binned last week.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on it, I'm pretty sure if he didn't get binned, he might have had back-to-back penalties a couple weeks, like 3 weeks ago or something like that. Same again, near the back end of the game. Just the frustration of losing that game.
You look at these guys, they've come through the ranks as winners.
Yeah.
You know, these Gerbo brothers, every team they've been in has been a great team. Not so much from winning premiers or anything, but just winning, just being good teams. He looks, as you say, he looks frustrated on the field, Jake. I think he's starting to play and sort of his play, you know. He looks a little bit lazy here and there. I think he'll benefit as much from anyone if Manly can hit back.
Well, I think, and trying too hard. I mean, he got caught out against the Tigers, one of their tries, where he's come out of line on Brooks. In particular, and Brooks has run around him, and they've scored one of the tries of the season off that.
Yeah.
I think it's showing. I mean, I think it's good to see if you're a Manly fan that he's passionate about it and whatever else. From a Supercoach perspective, I still think he's gold. He's getting binned and getting 60 points still.
Yeah.
He's pretty cheap at the moment. He's actually on the radar for me because I don't have him.
Okay.
Because he is a keeper and a premium back rower.
Yeah.
He's 590k give or take this week with a 90 break even. You could bring him in this week or next week, and that's a pretty cheap Gerbo. So I rate him. It wouldn't be A. Yeah. But still high B.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I'm going to start off with Gerbo. I'm going to give him a B- at best. He's just frustrated me because I've had him from the start, and I was hoping to see a few of those 90s or 100s, and they just haven't really come around yet. So, again, I think it's connected to Manly kicking back.
I'm very concerned about what's going on. I mean, half the reason my team has been going so bad in Supercoach is because we've got a couple of big pods from
You've got so many Manly players.
I got Coruscant and Cherry Evans, and the last few weeks they've been bad. So, I'm not sure what's going on there, but they really need to turn it around for my Supercoach team.
No, fair enough.
Pricks.
Next on the list we've got Gareth Widdop. I'm gonna start off with an A-. I think obviously that might be a little bit harsh, but started off the season, I mean, we saw it absolutely on fire. A couple of tons. The 175 was huge. He almost hit 800,000. He's back down to about 580,000 now. I think Ben Hunt started to run that team a little bit more, and that's seen him just sort of a little bit of the gloss taken off him. But still kicks goals, still runs that left edge amazingly. A- for mine.
Yeah, I'm probably getting him about an A. I just think because of how potent they are now, and teams are pretty much going, we've got to shut down Widdop and Hunt's going to do the damage, and vice versa. I think they look real silky. They're looking really good considering they have only played this season together. He's pretty much one of the must-have halves for the run home. And I think his worst score has been about a 40.
Yeah.
So for a genuine playmaker, where he's literally getting basically all of his points from setting up attacking stats, he's not one of these halves that's doing a heap of runs and all that. Can't be too harsh on him.
No, fair enough. Let's go to, I guess, the other end of the scale. A few boys that have disappointed. Jordan Rapana.
What's the scale? D is D the worst?
Nah, we're going Fs, mate. We're going Fs. Go right out.
Oh, I'd have to be putting him somewhere down there, like
Yeah.
a D minus, like close to an F. I mean, he's just. Last week was probably one of his better games for involvement, in my opinion. He hasn't scored many tries this season at all, which has been disappointing. I picked him up a few weeks ago, just banking on the fact that he's
bounced back.
Sort of come good and due to score some tries just because of the player he is, but he hasn't. That being said, it's not all his fault. Canberra, I've watched them a little bit more closely in the last couple of weeks. They're not looking pretty when they throw the ball out to that right edge.
Yeah.
It's just Tapane is a hog.
Yeah.
That's killing it. Like he basically doesn't look outside of him.
They need Whitehead on that right edge. Whitehead to Leilua to Rapana.
Yeah. And even Austin at times, just you can get a bit of that fever if he's...
Yeah.
So I think the left, like they're much more fluent out there and they're more likely to go that side. But when it does come to the right, it's not. They don't even have any formations out there, and it's getting to Rapana. So any points he's having to come in and get it himself by taking those dummy half runs. And they were a handful against the Cowboys last week. At both of the wingers, they were coming in. The tackle bus were there. He was better last week, but as someone that sort of bought him on a whim, it's been very disappointing. And he's been bad. I just really hope he can turn around this week against the Titans.
Let's move to the most frustrating player in Supercoach for us. We talked about him not being a roller coaster anymore. Well, he's not a roller coaster. He's just flat terrible this year. Anthony Milford.
Oh, you start.
Mate, where do we go? Look, Anthony, you've got an F, mate. An absolute fail. You turned up against the Knights. You've just... Look, a lot of it I put down to the disruption with the Broncos. Their forwards look terrible. McCulloch has been there, hasn't been there. Jack Bird at the 7. Milford trying to run the show. They really, really miss Ben Hunt. They really do. It's tough. Yeah. Yeah,
I guess what's hurting him, in my opinion, is the fact that he's having to play the role of the 7. So he's on the last, he's doing most... If Jack Bird's the other half, Jack Bird isn't kicking on the last.
No.
Which means he's going into first receiver, or he's having to make sure he's there for the kick on the last if they're a bit out. If he's playing 6, on third and fourth tackle, he can be out on an edge trying to create stuff, which is what he was doing last year.
Yeah.
What's weird is that him and Nicaragua were playing in the halves together last year and they were killing it. But the start of this year, it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
I think they just sort of winged it last year because they couldn't really get too much structure in place because of where they were at with losing Hunt.
Yeah.
And had him at dummy half, but the fact that he's having to take that half role, he can't go as much as he wants to, and it's killing him. He has still created a couple of little things, like you saw that little grubber for himself try he scored. Like that is there, and that's what he usually does, but having to be the guy that directs him around the park
just doesn't work. Doing
the kicking, like it's killing him, and it's a shame. I'm basically probably going to sell him now in round 13 and I won't get back on him unless some miracle happens with someone that comes into the half spot there, because he's just shot my season.
The last one I want to talk about, Big Sammy Burgess. Hard to grade, considering the season he's had. I could say he's been rocks or diamonds, but he's been diamonds on the field, and mate, he's just spent half his time in the judiciary.
Yeah, I mean, his last performance was his best one before he copped another couple of weeks. I think the fact that he missed 2 weeks, it made him realise how keen he was to get back out there, but then that keenness ended up sort of killing him in the end. I mean, to be fair, before his last performance, he actually was only getting around high 50s, and people sort of wondering, is he actually a keeper, or do you get rid of him for his price?
Yep.
I think, as bad as it sounds, the time that he's had to spend off, I'm hoping that motivates him to sort of, he wants to make up for the team and he needs to keep his head on.
Yeah. And not take seasons off.
And not, I mean, it's just, he's got to put that aggression, because it's going to cost them in the end. Like, they're a different side when he's out there.
Yeah. When
he's ripping up the middle, Souths are a different side. Yeah. So, I couldn't give him an A or a B. He's still probably around a C just because the indiscretions. Yeah. And he didn't start great. But if he plays the way he did in his last game for the next 3 or 4 weeks, he quickly becomes a B plus A player again, you know. Like,
yeah, fair enough. Let's wrap up with captain's picks, mate. Who you got the VC and the C on this week?
I think just because it's Thursday night and he's probably just due, looking at Mill for a VC.
Yep.
Otherwise, looking at Cook. If I vice Milf, I'll probably play Cook as the captain against us. Otherwise, maybe Cook, Vice, and a Fafita or a Turbo as captain. Fafita pissed me off last week. He offloaded about 400 times in 2-3 games, and he didn't offload once last week.
Yeah.
So he baited a lot of people because, as I said, if he gets 4, 5, 6 offloads a game, there's an extra 20 sort of points, 15, 20 points.
Big difference.
And then instead of getting 55, he's getting 70 plus or whatever. So that was annoying, but I'm also a bit worried about that Eels pack, that Cronulla play Eels, and they're a rough pack, so I'm just worried Kenny Edwards and Terapo hopefully don't get under his skin. I'm just a bit worried about any sort of hoo-ha that might happen. It probably won't, but there's going to be a bit in that one, so I'm sort of leaning away from Fifi for that reason. But I'll see what happens. What about you?
Mate, VC, I wasn't thinking of him until later today, but MILF, I'm going to give him one more crack in that role. Obviously, the Thursday night. Broncos have got to perform soon, right? Look, they're playing right. They're winning without playing anything flash. So I'm going to check the VC on him. I'm going to go Cameron Smith. I've brought him in this week. Going to chuck the C on him. Obviously playing the Dragons down in Wollongong, but we'll wait and see. I just think Melbourne are starting to come good. I think he's going to have a week where they're playing a better team and he'll step up. So hopefully they can put 4 or 5 tries on St. George. He can get a couple of assists and kick 4 or 5 goals. So he'd be my tip for captain this week, and hopefully he can hit that 90-100 mark.
It's probably game of the round as well, that one.
Yeah. One thing I obviously want to mention from last week. Now, made a tip who would go large last week, and I tipped James Maloney, and he did. Didn't let us down.
Well, he didn't.
He didn't let us down. He, after first reviews, I think he was at about 102 or 105, and well done, Jimmy Maloney. A bit of a go fuck yourself to the Supercoach scorers. Look, I don't have him say in the end, but obviously there's a bit of conjecture with how Tri-Assist has scored, because he was downgraded 50 points. You look at Damien Cook the week before, who was upgraded from 48 to 102. So, someone's running the show at Supercoach, and whoever scored those couple of games obviously got a little bit wrong. Oh,
and I think the issue with a lot of them were the similarities with some that they were awarded to Lino, and Hiku didn't get them as well. There's been a fair bit of controversy around that. And I did see a bit of a sort of smart ass sort of comment, I think it was on Twitter, from Sangster about the nature of those ones, which I thought was a bit of a jab, to be fair. About, he said, if you're an experienced Supercoacher, you should know that he was potentially going to lose those. Well, you don't, because he's just so inconsistent.
Exactly.
And it's so subjective that we don't. And every Supercoach, it happens every week. No one knows if it's a last touch or an assist, because it's so subjective. And I think they need to, they tried to bring in the last touch to take away the subjectiveness. Yeah. But it hasn't. It's just clouded it more. I think the way that, fantasy English Premier League does it. The assist is the man that touches the ball last. I know it's a little bit different in soccer. It's not the same, but you get rid of the subjectivity. I know that's not the way it would be.
It's the same in the NBA. It's the same in the NBA.
You lose it.
As long as it's that last person to touch the ball to the person who scores the try, whatever it may be, it's the easiest way to do it.
And I think even if you have, instead of having last touch, you have second last touch, and it might be worth a little bit less, but you just remove the subjectiveness. And I mean, I don't know who these people are that score it and whatever else, but they've had some shockers of late. But to be fair, it happens every year, and you just have to cop it. I know people blow up all the time, but that is just the game we play, and that's just it at the end of the day. So
obviously a little bit of controversy there to finish, guys. Give us your comments below. Tell us what you think, obviously, of the Maloney try assist. We'd love to hear. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll catch you all next week.